Hey guys, welcome to Series World. Today I'm going to explain a mystery thriller series called Burning Body from 2023. Turn on subtitles and spoilers ahead. The 7th episode opens with Rosa, Pedro, and their friends celebrating St. George's Day by visiting a book fair. Rosa picks up a book and brings it to her friends and Pedro. Pedro requests her to dedicate the book to him. Rosa grabs a pen and dedicates the book to him by writing about how much he means to her. The scene cuts to Rosa and her other prison mates watching the news. On the news, the reporter is describing how the suspect, Rosa Peral, might be a victim too, as she has recently stated that her ex-partner Albert did the crime. She was afraid, and that's why she remained silent. Another prisoner also comes to their room, and Rosa and the others invite her to watch the news. Later, Rosa speaks with Sofia over the phone, assuring her she'll return soon. Sofia shares plans for a trip with Javi and Carmen, and mentions Carmen's niece, Julieta. Javi and Carmen later see Sofia talking to Rosa and caution her not to do so unsupervised. Sofia reveals her doubts, thinking Rosa might be lying about her innocence. Carmen advises her to wait and see what the future holds. Meanwhile, Albert meets with his lawyer, who urges him to tell the truth. Albert grows frustrated, insisting the only truth in Rosa's account is that he jumped the fence, but only because Rosa instructed him to avoid being seen by neighbors. His lawyer tells him that he was Rosa's puppet. She seduced him and then took full advantage of him. Albert denies being anyone's puppet, and the lawyer agrees that he's more than this. He then explains to Albert that no one will remember a puppet but a woman. A mother who kills is exception. A black widow will never be forgotten. The scene changes to Rosa and Albert being brought to Rosa's place. They're going to explain how everything took place that night step by step. Rosa states that it was 2 a.m. She couldn't sleep, so she was doing some laundry upstairs. Pedro was sleeping downstairs. She heard something outside. She saw Albert jumping over the fence with an axe. He saw her and forced her to give her phone to him. He then goes downstairs where Pedro is. Afraid, Rosa goes upstairs to protect her daughter. She couldn't scream because she knows how Albert is when he gets violent. The officers then bring her upstairs to show how she locked herself in the upstairs. In the statement, she told them that she heard noises coming from downstairs. Some officers are sent downstairs to create the noise. They start cutting a human dummy with an axe. The officers confirm with Rosa whether this is the sound that she heard. Later, Albert is asked to describe his version of events. He explains that Rosa called her in the middle of the night telling him that she murdered Pedro. They were fighting and Pedro started beating her. He believed her as Pedro can get quite violent sometimes. He lied to his statement before because he wanted to protect Rosa. Albert then shows the officer how Pedro's body parts were scattered. His body was resting on the sofa, but his head was on the other side. She asked him to help her hide the body. At first, he told her to go to the precinct and tell everyone everything, and they'll help them. But Rosa replies that they won't believe her, and she'll lose custody of her daughter. As they were in a relationship, Albert stayed loyal to her and helped her, but now he can tell the truth. Rosa and Albert await trial in prison. Rosa clashes with other inmates in the dining hall, defending herself and her daughter Sofia. She later meets Montse, who advises her to improve her behavior, noting Albert is complying well in prison, which could aid his case. Rosa insists she won't let Sofia visit her in prison, despite Montse's warning that it could hurt her case. Meanwhile, Javi gives an interview about Rosa, angering her parents, who accuse him of exploiting the case and withholding Sofia. Javi claims Sofia knows the truth about her mother. Rosa's parents visit her, revealing Sofia allegedly heard screams and saw blood on Rosa the night of the incident. Rosa denies this, accusing Javi and Carmen of lying to alienate Sofia from her. Despite her resistance, her parents urge her to reconnect with Sofia. The scene cuts to Esther's partner, Edward, giving an interview in front of the court. Today is the trial of Rosa and Albert's case. Esther also comes there. They promised to meet before the trial. Esther tells him that she saw him in the documentary. He blushes and tells her that his podcast is also coming along well. Edward thanks Esther because they know what happened because of her. Suddenly, all the reporters start running in the same direction. Rosa has arrived and everyone is booing at her from the side of the road. Edward and Esther enter the courtroom with everyone. Everyone takes their seat. At first, Rosa's lawyer goes on the stand. She explains how Rosa and Pedro were very much in love. She then shows everyone what Rosa wrote in the book she dedicated to Pedro 8 days before his murder. She wrote how she wants to grow old with her, and how he's the love of her life. Montse questions whether this can be the writing of a woman who murders her husband 8 days later. Then Albert's lawyer gets on the stand. He tells everyone how Pedro also gifted Rosa with an erotic novel like the one she likes. In the book, He wrote how his life is Rosa's because Rosa is his life. He wants them to not hurt each other anymore, and requests her to make the most of his life as it's hers. Even though they claimed to be the perfect couple, the truth was their relationship was toxic. It was filled with jealousy, anger, and a lot of shouting. Pedro took the most hit and ultimately got murdered by Rosa. Montse argues why Rosa would kill Pedro. She loved him. Everyone loved Rosa, including friends and family. She had a reputable job. Moreover, she is a mother. If she wanted to, she could just leave Pedro. Albert's lawyer argues that Rosa is an exceptional case. She is a cold-hearted woman and a pathological liar. Montse agrees that Rosa has become quite notable because of the life she led. But none of it was a crime. But everyone knows her name because she's a woman, whereas no one knows the name of Albert. But now, in trial, she'll prove that Rosa is the victim. Albert's lawyer also claims that he's the victim. He helped her as her loyal partner. Montse argues that Rosa did have a relationship with Albert in the past, but it was not a good one. Pedro was the love of her life. His lawyer then shows the photo of Albert and Rosa taken at the dinner party after Pedro's death. The judge gets annoyed and tells them to only state the facts with the help of witnesses. Rosa is then brought to answer questions by the judge. The judge asks her when the photo was taken. Rosa replies that it was taken on 4th of May. She explains that she appeared at the dinner party and also took the photo because she was scared of Albert, scared of what he could do to her or her daughter. Pedro's friend Nestor gets on the stand and tells the judge that she was not scared at all. She arrived with Albert on the same motorcycle. Judge asks him how many officers were there and he replies that maybe about 20. The judge asks Rosa why she didn't ask for help from the police officers there. But to Rosa, they were Albert's friends. Juan then gets on the stand. He explains that they supported Rosa because they wanted a distraction for her. Nestor adds that she was laughing, dancing, and enjoying herself at the party. Rosa argues that she was afraid as Albert told her to act natural, so she had to. Albert tells the judge that of course she would be happy because he helped her hide her crime. The judge asked how he calmly dealt with the dead body of another fellow police officer, and even was happy after doing such a deed. Albert tells the judge that in the photo, there's only one happy person, and that's Rosa. The judge asks him why he didn't ask for help from one of the police officers gathered at the party. Albert argues that he promised Rosa 1,000 times that he won't tell anyone, and he's a man of his word. Almu then comes to the stand and states that they gathered at Rosa's place the day after Pedro's body was found. Albert was also there. Rosa states that he was there to keep an eye on her and he's not in her friend circle. The judge asks Almu whether Rosa was scared of Albert. Almu replies she didn't seem scared of Albert but of Javi. When Javi came to say his condolences, she screamed and shouted at him. Later, she told her that Javi killed Pedro. Rosa explains that it was all Albert's plan because he needed a culprit. Albert is confused as to why he would make Javi the culprit. Rosa explains Albert knew Javi and Pedro hated each other. But from Albert's view, Rosa is the one who would benefit the most from Javi's downfall. She even said about this that it's 2 birds with 1 stone. The scene changes to Javi giving an interview. The reporter asks him about the fact that Rosa tried to implicate him in Pedro's death. Javi replies that he tried to forget about it. His relationship with Pedro was cordial and he seemed like a nice guy. The reporter asks him about Albert. Javi replies that he knows Albert as Rosa's co-worker, but he thinks Rosa and Albert were together for so long because they liked each other. The reporter argues that Javi was also married to a possible murderer for a long time. Meanwhile, Rosa is also watching Javi's interview on her TV. The reporter then asks Javi about Sofia, and he refuses to say anything about her. The reporter asks Javi whether he knew Rosa was cheating on him when he married her. Javi replies with a no and adds that Rosa has always been a very good liar and manipulator. Back to the trial. The judge is asking Rosa whether she was still in a relationship with Albert when the murder happened. Rosa replies no. She was satisfied with Pedro. He was a great partner to her and a loving father to Sofia. Juan also agrees that they were a wonderful couple. Albert states that he was happy living his life with his friends and work. Rosa was living with Pedro. Almu gets on the stand and tells the incident when Albert gave Rosa the ring. The judge asks how Albert found them there. And that's the question Almu had too. But Rosa replied that she didn't know. The judge then brings out the call logs, which shows that they did talk that day right before the encounter. The judge asks Almu whether Rosa was scared of Albert. She replies that she wasn't, instead she was amused. Albert argues that it was an inside joke. Rosa told him one day that he never gave her flowers. He told her to forget flowers as he'd give her a ring. That was nothing like actually proposing to her. Rosa states the opposite, that Albert was always jealous of Pedro. He always called her. So she called him there so he could see whom she was with, and that she was busy with her life. The judge asks why he would propose to an engaged woman. Rosa explains that he heard about Pedro proposing to her and wanted to compete. Rosa also says that she gave him the ring back after a few days. The judge then shows Rosa the photo she sent Albert wearing his ring. Almu confirms that this is the ring Albert gave to Rosa. The judge then shows a suggestive photo of Albert and asks whether he sent this photo in response to hers. Albert argues that what would he send in response to her that kind of picture? In fact, she used to send pictures like this all the time, even when she was married. The judge then calls another witness, Albert's friend Juanjo, to testify about the death that happened in Zona Franca. Juanjo gets nervous at the stand and even starts crying. He tells Albert sorry. The judge tells Juanjo not to worry and to tell everything. Flashbacks show Juanjo venting about narcos to Albert, and a body is being taken away by the paramedics. Albert jokingly laughs at him for being so afraid of narcos. But Juanjo is confident that he will catch the criminal as they must have left evidence. But Albert informs him that narcos doesn't leave evidence. Juanjo is a bit upset hearing this, but he tells Albert that he's going to take forensic science. He's also studying for it and will attend the exams. Albert is happy for him after hearing this. Albert then questions him what he would do to not get caught after they kill someone. The prosecutor stops him and asks Juanjo what he replied to that question. Juanjo told Albert that to not get caught, he had to put the body in a vehicle and take it to some remote spot, then set the vehicle on fire. A remote spot would be hard for firefighters to reach, so it'll give the time to really burn the body. Albert argues on the stand that Juanjo dreams a lot, and his dreams are beyond his capabilities. The things that he stated are also a made-up story by him. Almu is called again and asked whether she ever doubted Rosa. Almu explains that Rosa was her friend and she trusted her. But after knowing everything, she feels used by Rosa. The judge asks whether she thinks that Rosa is capable of murdering Pedro. Almu replies that she won't be surprised if she is capable. The judge then tells the jury that they only heard two versions of the events, but the truth can be a totally different thing. He then calls for the third person to testify. Rosa imagines Pedro walking through the door and taking the stand, but comes back to reality when the judge calls for Esther to testify. And the episode ends with a cliffhanger. To watch more explanations of these kinds of series, click on the videos on your screen. And don't forget to let me know how you feel about today's video in the comments down below. And at last, thanks for watching.